What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast number 214. Coming to you live every week. Today on a Wednesday, this week on a Wednesday, I should say, because since Benfica played on Tuesday, we wanted to have some time to watch the game and really analyze it so we could bring you our fresh take. With me tonight, Cristiano Oliveira.
What's going on, everybody?
And that's all we really need.
That's your line right there, but I stole it.
You got to think of your own line. You got plenty of
I
lines.
do, but I wanted to copy you today because it's always a good thing to copy the Capitan.
Well, you could say another night, another podcast.
That's Steve's.
Steve's not here, so you could use his.
There's, Steve and I, sometimes we go at it, and so I don't want him to get upset. He's on vacation. I'm using his lines and stuff. I don't want to upset his vacation, so I'd rather just use yours.
I hear you. So just us two tonight, I think that's good enough. We have plenty of stuff to talk about on the menu tonight. We will talk about Benfica's game against Arouca this past Friday. We will also look back at the game I was just speaking about, Benfica's first game, match day 1 of the Champions League, this past Tuesday against Besitkas at Stadio de Luz. And we'll also look ahead to Benfica's upcoming game this coming Monday against Braga. So without further ado, Cristiano, let's get right into this Arouca game, a game that you actually watched last year when you were in Portugal when Benfica opened up the season.
Yeah, Bracali had the game of his life.
Again. So
I'm talking about last year.
Well, this year, I don't think he was much worse. Let's see. I'll give you the lineup real quick. So Júlio César was in goal. Semedo, Lilu, Jardel, and Grimaldo were in the back. Feza and Horta in the midfield. Salvio, Rafa, and Pizzi in the midfield. And then Guedes up front. So, Cristiano, we found out before the game that basically aquilo parece que foi uma razia. Foi tudo para o hospital.
Tudo. I mean,
Mitrogols, Jonas,
a bruxa andou lá fazer
Jimenez,
tudo. Até o Jovic. Até o Joe já não joga desde o ano passado, até ele achou forma de se ilusionar. Foi impressionante. Tudo muito impressionante.
We just basically had, I don't know what you could call that. Maybe it's something like viral almost. I can't think of a time where the team has suffered that many injuries at the same time to the same position almost. It's a good thing that we have a lot of wingers. Yeah. We can bring guys in, but forwards, not so much. So Rui Vitória obviously had to go with an improved front line. We knew Guedes. We knew Guedes had been playing up front, so we knew he was probably going to get a shot. But Rafa straight into the lineup. What do you think?
And he played well. I thought Rafa came in. He looked a little bit nervous at first, but once he settled in, you could tell the guy, he's a very good player, a guy that's going to add a lot of quality to this Benfica team. And I'll say this much: if he had his finishing shoes on, he would have had a hat trick within the first 20 minutes. So, very exciting to see him. Join this club. We've obviously heard a lot about him joining Benfica, and this has been going on back and forth for a while. A lot of us even speculated whether it was going to happen or not. And so it's a good thing to see the guy on the pitch finally wearing a Benfica shirt. Very unfortunate. I mean, I will get to this a little bit later on, but picking up an injury in his first game, obviously that hurt. But Benfica were able to pull this one off, and we'll get more into it.
Yeah.
Right now.
So Benfica traveled up north to Arouca in a pitch. These pitches up north are always difficult to play in because they're small. Perhaps the quality of the pitch, even though Arouca's looked pretty decent. Yeah. And obviously this is a pitch that was actually approved by UEFA because Arouca tried to get into the Europa League champions on the Europa League group stages, so it was obviously approved.
Yeah, it was. They lost out in the playoffs.
Right. So it was obviously approved by UEFA. So, but it's always tough traveling up north, although the Benfica contingent up north is always much bigger than the home teams. Nonetheless, smaller fields, smaller spaces, and for a Benfica team that likes to spread the ball around, likes to use their wingers close to the lines, when you play in a smaller pitch, it's much difficult. You allow the other team to occupy the spaces because the pitch is so small that you play in. That's difficult. So a goal right in the 19th minute play where, 16th minute, a play where Semedo is insisting on a ball that was too long for him. He chases the ball down. Two defenders go with him. The goalkeeper comes out. The goalkeeper hits the ball. The ball hits Semedo's leg, and fortunate enough,
I don't think it was.
we're up
I
1-0.
think it was Nuno Coelho, their captain. I think he, whichever. At the end of the day, 3 Arouca players came in on the ball, and one of them shot it off of Semedo's knee and went in. Benfica very fortunate to get that goal, but it was one of those goals that Benfica needed because of all the question marks that heading into this game due to the lack of strikers. It kind of alleviated things, and unfortunately, it's going to capitalize on others the rest of the game.
And here's the thing too: the way Benfica has been playing, and also we saw this game. Benfica is at a stage right now. I know it's still early in the season. We're seeing a lot of shades of what we saw last year. We've mentioned in here week in, week out about the sectors not having a guy to connect sectors. But here's the biggest thing for me right now in watching these Benfica games is Benfica can't kill a game.
No, they can't. And you know what, man? Like watching these games, I don't know what it is, and I can't quite put my finger on it just yet. But even though you look at the stats here behind us, Benfica dominating pretty much every single category with the exception of duelos ganhos, basically 50-50 balls. They won. They dominated every other category. But there's something missing when I'm watching this Benfica team, and I even said it on Twitter. I was like, there's miles from what Benfica was at the end of last season, because I know we all know they struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season. A lot of question marks also with the new head coach, and I feel like they're going through some growing pains right now. Yes, it's the same coach from last year, so there should be some continuity there. But myself, Steve, and a bunch of other smart people here on the podcast and on Twitter have questioned exactly what it is that this guy wants to implement on our field. We're still not sure about his tactics. That being said, a lot of new players, and I understand he still has to get everyone adjusted to understand his system, everyone to get adjusted to one another, get very familiar with one another. Things are a little bit rougher than I expected, but yet they're able to win and make their way through these games because of a lot of the same reasons. Like I said last year, their players are so much better than the opposition.
Yeah,
that those guys just on natural ability, they're going to win these games on natural ability, and so. I think that's exactly what happened this week.
Yeah, even if tactically is now banho de bola, it's not a dominating performance. I think there are individual talents will eventually come to the surface and make a difference, which for the Portuguese league, that's all fine and dandy.
Yeah.
But I'm having a problem where Benfica is not closing out games. They're giving teams the possession of the ball, the initiative, and teams are growing on Benfica. And this is what happened with this game. Benfica didn't really need to go through what they went through. I know that we get starting the second half. Lilo scored his second goal in a row.
A frango by Bracali, by the way.
I
thought it was a frango.
It's close range, point range, man.
You want me to lie? I thought it was easy. I thought it was soft. I should say.
It was that zonal marking again. The ball slipped in between two guys, and again, Lilo is there. He just penteou a bola.
Benfica leading goal scorer, baby. And those of you want to knock the guy, guys marca goals and he stops goals. Sometimes slips up in the back too, but
yeah. So, and there's the thing. Then Benfica takes the foot off the accelerator. They let Arouca back in the game. 5 minutes later, after Benfica scores the second goal, they let Arouca into the game. Semedo gives up a header in the second post, and I was talking to I think I was talking to you guys on one of the chats, and I said that perhaps Almeida never gives up that ball.
Man, I'll tell you this much. It's easy to sit here and criticize Smith, but you got to give some credit's due, because I thought that the Arouca player, I forget his name now. I'm pretty sure you have it down somewhere.
Zemanel
went up there and he won that header. The guy, o gajo foi buscador até cima, and he went up there. And I'm not sure if André Almeida was even there, if he was flat-footed like Smith was. That was a fantastic finish on his part. And sometimes you have to tip your cap to the opposition, and that's exactly what happened here, Alfredo.
Yeah, I'm lying. I don't know the guy. I just made that name. I just made that name on the spot. You look like a Zemanel. I forgot. I think that maybe I want to say Gonçalves, maybe.
Gonçalves.
Epá, diz ali, olha ali. Diz ali no screen, pá. We just can't read it all that great.
Pois é, mas you can read it here, no? No, Gonçalves. Tá bem, Vladimir Gonçalves, that's his name.
Wilmer. Walter. W. Gonzalez. That's all we know. But anyway.
No, listen, it was a nice finish on his part.
Yeah.
It was a strong, powerful header. You went up there and he got it. And Smith, yeah. I mean, we could all sit here and question his defending at times, because obviously it's been one of the question marks with him. And hopefully he gets a lot better, because we know going forward, the guy's a fantastic player. It's on the defensive end that we stress. But at this point, man, you kind of the opposition, they have players also, and I think that was a fantastic finish on Vladimir Gonzalez's part.
But then following their goal, then we let Arouca back into the game, and we had some trouble. We had some trouble killing off this game, putting this game on ice, and this is something that I'm not really enjoying this season. And we'll get into the Besitkas game, but we had something similar in the Besitkas game, where we really can't put these games on ice. Perhaps some of our possession control is not there. We're giving the ball away too easily. We're sending wingers that become isolated, where teams have been trained to isolate them to kind of chase guys and So it's tough for Benfica right now, and they don't really have a fluidity to their game.
No, 100% correct, and it's aggravating at times. Benfica because I think Benfica has to impose their will on the opposition. I think that when times get tough, right, keep the ball. You could tell their players are much better players than the players on the other side. Keep the ball, protect the ball, keep the ball away from the opposite. They don't. It's like they panic and everybody gets behind the ball and let's just defend because, and again, at the end of the day, it's a good tactic because if you got a 1-goal lead and the opposition doesn't score, you walk away with the victory.
But it's a very dangerous
result. It's not very appealing. Absolutely. Because they got very lucky on a one play where Julius Sets comes out, punches it, and he's still on the ground. And I forget who it is now, guys. This game was Friday, man. It's a long time ago. And he one time, and it goes just wide. I mean, they could have very easy leveled the score right there. Yeah. And Benfica would have been in all types of trouble.
Yeah, but, I mean, and then you got the other thing to contend with. Is I counted at least 3 good chances for Rafa to score goals, and he didn't.
Yeah.
So besides missing goals, which is going to happen? I mean, you got guys on an off night. You got keepers on an on night. You're not going to put goals. But the thing is that Benfica needs to hold on to possession.
It was Rafa's first game. And in his defense, Alfredo. No, I'm seriously.
Come on,
I mean, listen. A lot of it, look, I think he should have at least gotten a couple of those on goal and see what happened. I mean, obviously shot him over, wide and over. But that being said, it was his first game. The nerves are running through his veins. This is a player that he's mentioned, right as he signed, before he put on the Benfica shirt. He said his whole family's Benfiquistas, and this is probably a dream come true. And the guy, he's very nervous now. As time goes on, he'll revert back to the old Rafa that we're accustomed to seeing. But right now, every player, man, these guys are human. They're gonna go through some types of jitters, and that's exactly what he did, man. I like to think that he's going to finish those more often than he's going to miss them.
Yeah, I think that once this game is done now, I think that a lot of that pressure of, first of all, the most expensive Portuguese player ever or deal between two Portuguese teams. So right there's an added pressure. Second of all, he's a guy that apparently, from what we're told in reports that are out there, he refused both Port and Sporting. So there's right there a guy that was very determined in the choice that he made. So right away, there's going to be a pressure. Okay.
Well, word is he was very interested in the Porto switch, but then once he heard about Benfica, that's when he said, "Okay, forget about it. Let's just concentrate on Benfica." And then Sporting tried to jump in at the end, and he was like, "No, I'm not having it."
Right.
I'm a Benfiquista, and it is what it is. And bro, like you and I. If we'd put on a Benfica shirt, we'd both be nervous. No matter how much experience we have, this is a player that grew up idolizing Benfica and his whole family. So it's expected. He's going to go through those things, those growing pains.
Absolutely.
But he's going to be, you could expect Pizzi to be on more often than not. So let's not worry about him too much. The only worry I got about him now is the 3 weeks he's going to miss because of his injury.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. So hopefully that will give him also time to get acclimated to the club. To work a little bit more with Vitória, albeit he's probably not going to be working with the team on a training ground.
No, but he'll have plenty of guys to work out with in the gym because as we talked before, tá tudo aleijado, pá.
That's the truth. So maybe they'll play like some Subutiu or something.
Maybe they get set up to come up and complete the 4v4 or something. What do you think?
You playing two aside maybe in the back room, massage table as a goal.
Temos pelo menos 4 ou 5 avançados aleijados. Agora precisamos lutar para fazer 3v3 ou uma coisa assim.
It could be. You're trying. You keep on trying pulling Tarapt in this conversation.
I just want the guy to get involved.
Não ouviste o Luís Filipe Vieira dizer que já não mete mais a camisa do Benfica.
E Luís Filipe Vieira, let's be honest, he threw Rui Costa under the bus.
He put himself in that category too. He said, me and Rui Costa, we watched plenty of video on Tarapt, and we both agreed that we should bring him. It wasn't a coach's decision. It was their decision alone. So he did a mea culpa, if you will.
I'll tell you, I was playing FIFA 16 prior to the
17.
Guys. You trapped in my máquina, man. If
Hey, so is Freddie Adu.
If Luis Felipe only saw the video of him scoring all the goals on my video system upset, I think he'd be very impressed.
Probably, most likely, he'd probably be impressed. He was impressed when he watched them with the Milan shirt.
E não tava a marcar gols.
Pois era só toque. Era só ginga. So, anyway, Carrillo comes in the 62nd minute for Rafa, which we know that it came out injured. Then Samaris comes in for Salvio. And then Zé Gomes, a kid that earned their first Benfica minutes, if you will, at 17 years old.
Third youngest ever.
Third youngest ever. Do you know the other two guys?
I didn't take the time to look it up, to be honest with you.
I think one of them might be Shalana. The other guy, I don't know. If you guys know, just tweet at us.
Yeah, if you tweet at us, hashtag Benfica podcast. Let us know. I know Peggy, Timo,
yeah.
My golf adventures already pulling my leg. I know you guys are paying attention, so go ahead, knock yourselves out, and please help us out here.
Yeah, but here's the other thing too, Cristiano. So Samaris comes into the game to hold the midfield, and I mean Benfica's attitude by placing Samaris on the field again is one of a defensive attitude. You're losing the midfield against the team that just 4 years ago, or if you will, 5-6 years ago, was in the Portuguese 4th or 3rd division, whatever. And here's Vitória putting a guy to hold the midfield because his midfield can't control the game.
Bro, go look at every single Portuguese coach on the planet, right? And you'll be hard-pressed to find one that's got an attacking mentality. Even though Jorge Jesus, a guy who likes to go forward, when things got tough, pull the horses back and clog up the mid. That's what every Portuguese coach does. They try to hold the result rather than go out and put the final nail on the coffin.
You think that's a Portuguese mentality thing?
It is. It's a Portuguese mentality.
So it's just not coaching. You think it's just I think Portuguese mentality, period.
I think it's a Portuguese mentality. I call it a mentality because you look at, Mourinho, right? Obviously, biggest Portuguese coach out there right now. Then you look at the likes of JJ. Same exact thing. We saw for years at Benfica. Paulo Bento. I mean, I'm just throwing out names. That doesn't mean that these guys are any good, but these guys were in very high places.
Especially Paulo Bento.
Bum-ass Nuno Espírito Santo. Queiroz. I mean, all of them. You name them. And now Rui Vitória. You see these guys, this is exactly what they do. The going gets tough. They clog up the midfield, take out a striker, put in another mid. Rather than go for the final nail in the coffin, they want to hold the result, man. It's just it's Portuguese thing, man. Look at it with the national team. Go back to 90s, and this is as far as I could recall Portuguese soccer, and it's always been the same way.
Yeah. So Benfica get the win. After the game, Vitória complained about the team missing that many chances. He felt that the team should have came out of Arouca with a much bigger win.
After that press conference, I was a little bit worried.
Why? Why did you say that?
Because my man was all like, my man was shining over here. Like Dad just had this tremendous performance. The only thing that it was the goal of the opposition. The goalkeeper stopped it. Like, my man, you played well. I'm not saying Benfica were terrible. Just look at the stats. They dominated stats. But it wasn't an impressive showing by any means. I mean, that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? I didn't think they went out there. They created chances, but it wasn't a dominating Benfica performance. And the way he came out and he spoke afterwards, it was like, my man was very content with what had just transpired out on the field. And he was just, all right, so we'll get him next time. I mean, I guess when you look at it, like, it's about getting the 3 points, and they got the 3 points. Fine. But I don't know, man. It leaves me scratching my head at times. Like, did we watch the same game? And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way.
Yeah. And you're seeing the stats behind this. I just want to give a shout out to Goal Point. I took that from their site, so I don't want them to come at me with any judicial action. God knows we don't have any money for lawyers, so I want to give them a shout out. Goalpoint.pt is where you can find all these stats. On the
guys, hit me up on Twitter. By the way, our boy Pedro Aresta just helped us. I said the other guys don't know. I mean, I'm going to take your word, Pedro. You better be right because I'm mentioning you on the air. So
what?
The other players, Shalana Guedes and João Gomes.
Yeah, it's possible. The list came out.
I thought João Gomes is younger than Guedes, though.
João Gomes is younger than Guedes.
No, now, obviously. But I'm talking about at the time of his...
I think one of them was Shalana. I forget who the other guy was. Okay. I forget who the other guy was.
I know Guedes was 17, but
the list.
But I'm not sure if Guedes was younger than João Gomes is now, at his debut, I think.
Yeah, it's possible.
And Guedes is a player, man. I mean, let me tell you guys something. You got to give the guy a lot of credit for working hard, and the kid has heart, and the kid wants to play. And sometimes he does some nice play, but a lot of the times, man, he kills a lot of the plays because he's got his head down. He needs to learn to pick up his head. The guy, he'll pull off uma jogada that you're impressed, very impressed. And the very next one, even easier play, and the guy trips up or he loses. It's always, he gets the ball, and I admire because he always wants to go forward. Forward, great. But he puts his head down and forget about it, man. And it's like he doesn't see the rest of the field.
What do you think about Guedes' feet and Pizzi's brain?
Pizzi's who?
Pizzi's brain and Guedes' feet. What do you think about that combination?
I think it because of Guedes' physicality, right? And I mentioned here plenty of times, the kid's got a nice frame on him, right? And he's quick, and I think that would actually work. Combining both of them. But again, he has to play with his head up. Now, if he's going to play with his head down, doesn't matter about Pizzi's brain. I mean, you have to combine it. So, whatever. I don't want to sit here and be critical, man, because every single week I come on here, everybody says I'm critical. So
yeah. So a good win.
I can still get into it a little bit. Pizzi still got his coming, so stay tuned.
A good win for Benfica up north. So 3 points like we wanted to get, especially ahead of a Champions League game that happened this Tuesday, as we've said. So Benfica played Besitkas at Estádio de Luz this past Tuesday. Mr. Santos was in attendance, actually. And this is a game, Chris, that, again, with no forwards, basically. And this is a game that, setting up the game and looking at the preview of the game is a game that at home should be very accessible for Benfica. Benfica should be beating Besitkas at home. I don't know about when Benfica goes to Turkey, they might split it there. But I think this is a game that you set up, especially Besitkas being a team that's in pot 3. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Pot 3.
Yeah.
On paper, Benfica is favored.
No, they're pot 4.
Besitkas was in pot 4?
Yeah, because it was Napoli, Dinamo Kiev, and I think it was Kiev. And
well,
Besitkas,
they were one of the lower pots.
One of the lower pots, yes.
So, on paper, Benfica goes into this game as the favorite. I'll give you the lineup real quick. Ederson got the starting goal. Apparently, it looks like Rui Vitória will be alternating between Ederson and Júlio César. And you should not see any difference in the level between these two. It's not like Paulo Lopes playing the Taça da Liga that all of a sudden you're worried that Paulo Lopes is playing the Taça da Liga. This is Ederson, the guy that played for most of the last season and did very, very well. So if he's playing in the Champions League, it's because Rui Vitória has plenty of confidence. And I think, speaking for myself, I have a lot of confidence in Ederson too. So I'm comfortable with that change. Semedo, Lilu, Lindelof, and Grimaldo were our defense. Facing Horta again in the midfield, Salvio on the right, Pizzi on the left, Servi and Guedes. And look, at this point, I got to give Cristiano a little bit some props here, because Cristiano, either last week or a couple weeks ago, when we were talking about Servi, Cristiano said that Servi...
Wait, Cristiano Oliveira. I don't want people to get confused.
Cristiano Oliveira.
Me.
Não o gajo do museu. This guy. Este é o gajo que pertence no museu.
Não o gajo que se vai dedicar à pesca. All right? Não esse.
Não que se vai dedicar à pesca. Não o gajo do museu. O gajo que pertence no museu. Cristiano did say that Servi looked like he had the skill set and some of the quickness to be that guy that played behind the forward. So here it is. Servi playing behind Guedes.
And he played well.
He played well.
And again, this is something I couldn't argue before because I didn't have any stats. I didn't have any type of concrete paperwork in front of me telling me that he played at Rosario Central or wherever he came from. I had never seen the guy play before, but just based on his attributes and the way he handled the ball, I thought this is a guy that in previous time he had played at that position. But whatever. That's irrelevant. It's a story for another day.
Yeah.
I think the important thing is that he came out and he played well. This is a kid very young kid, comes into Europe, his very first Champions League game, and he looked like he wasn't nervous at all. It was just another game for him. So definitely a very promising start for him.
And here's the thing about Servi. His debut for Benfica in the Super Cup, scores the first goal.
Cool.
His debut for Benfica in the Champions League, scores the first goal. So maybe there's a little trend here. Maybe let's sit him down and start him again in the Taça da Liga. Maybe we'll get the same effect.
Yeah, but let's be honest. I think everybody being healthy, he might not even get on the field this time. But at the end of the day, he was there.
Yeah,
he made it count. And the rest of the game, I thought he played well. I mean, if only Guedes had his feet in front of the net. Right now, we'll be talking about Benfica getting 3 points rather than 1.
Yeah. Servi was the guy. He had 6 disarms, and what that is basically 6 successful tackles or takeaways, if you will. Not so much interceptions, but takeaways. The most out of Benfica players. And for a guy that played behind the center forward, that says a lot for the work rate that he put in, Cristiano.
It's the same reason why everybody was praising Ederson in the World Cup, because he came back and made a tackle.
But não brinques, pá, não brinques.
So Servi's fantastic.
No, but there's a certain, especially in the first half where Benfica was high and was pressuring high, you need those guys up front to be pressuring the first line of construction. And I think that Servi did that well. He dropped to the wings to be an extra defender, either for Salvio or Pizzi, or in the middle helping out Horta. So he did well until he ran out of gas.
Look, you know me. I'm always looking for ways to be critical, okay? And I tried, and I could still be critical about Pizzi and Guedes. Obviously finished that one opportunity late in the second half. He could have put the game away. We'd never be talking about Talisca at the end of the game, leveling the score. But then I started thinking, like, hey, we're playing without a striker. All right, we're talking about very important pieces on this roster. Jonas. Mitroglou hasn't showed up all year, but he's a different player when he's alongside Jonas. Jimenez, who has a work rate unlike any other on this club. I don't think anybody works as hard as Jimenez does on this club. And then Jovic, obviously not much to say about there. But then we move on to Rafa, another player who's going to be a very key part of this roster going forward. So when you take all that into account, I thought it was, at one point, it was a good takeaway from this game.
Yeah.
Because going in, I'm not sure if I agree with you when you said Benfica on paper were favorites. I'm not sure they were favorites going into the game because of those injuries.
Right. The injuries throws a little wrench.
So they weren't, to me, due to the fact that they were at home and without all them, I'd say it was 50-50. And that's exactly what happened. They had a magical moment in the 92nd minute, and Benfica is accustomed to 92nd minute moments, unfortunately. But, if it had been the other way around, if Benfica was trailing and they equalized late, you would have been very happy with 1 point due to the fact that you were missing half of your your attacking force.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Again, good first half by Benfica. Came out strong. At the end of the first half, there's a breakaway where Pizzi really gives up a 3 versus 3, and we could have gone into the locker room up to nothing, and we really could have put the game on ice if that's such a thing that Benfica could do now. But we missed that breakaway on a silly thing by Pizzi. So we came out of the locker room.
I was frustrated.
Besitkas is much, much better in the second half. They come out looking for the result, looking for the tying goal. And again, Benfica had a hard time controlling the game in the second half.
Unfortunately, it's what we're accustomed to seeing with this Benfica squad in the second half. They come out and they pressure and they try to dominate the game in the first half. Second half, when the other teams come to play, there goes all of the good stuff in the first half goes out the window. And that's where the question marks come in for myself and everyone else that watches Benfica. Is like, all right, what exactly are they trying to do here?
Yeah. And here's the thing, talking about what exactly they're trying to do there, Servi comes out in the 70th minute for Samaris to close up the midfield, to control a little bit of what's going on in the midfield with mismatches, because now all of a sudden it looks like Besitkas has an extra guy in the midfield and they're controlling the game flow. Really, Samaris, I didn't think Samaris added anything to the game. Really don't think Samaris added anything to that second half.
Wait, Samaris came in for Feja?
Came in for Servi.
Okay, I thought you said Feja. Yeah, Samaris, listen, bro, Samaris is a player that was very talked about here on the podcast. He comes in for 10 million, high expectations. Basically, for the first 6-7 months, did absolutely nothing. I myself even questioned if this guy was of the professional caliber. If this guy could even play at this level. I mean, just roll back the tape. I'm pretty sure you can hear me say that plenty of times. But then it's like a switch went off, and the guy was a very key cog down the stretch for that season. Benfica won their first campeonato. First, right? Yeah, or second.
Who's that?
The second campeonato.
Samaris,
yeah, they won it with the year that JJ left. Yeah, he won. He came in and they won that campeonato. And a lot of it.
No, primeiro.
It was the second, because last year was the third already.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So it was the second. So he came in and he added a lot of quality to that midfield. And the one thing that we love about him is the guy is a true leader. The guy, he plays with raça. And like I said, he turned on a switch, and he was very, very good down the stretch. And Benfica won that title, and a lot of it had to do with his play in the midfield because they were able to change things around. Then all of a sudden, last year, Feja, a guy who I don't think any of us could rate this guy because we've never seen him actually play 2-3 games in a row for us to say if this guy was any good. But once he got on the field and you saw the Feja, it was like, bro, there's no way that Samaris is going to play over him. And I don't know if it's confidence. I'm not sure what it is, but it's not the same Samaris we saw in the second half of his first year at Benfica.
Yeah.
But so much so that I even question if Benfica was going to take a decent offer for him and let him go because, his salary is pretty high and he's not going to be, number one option on the team because as long as Feja is healthy, Feja is going to play. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's happened to him. Maybe it's confidence. He just lost his confidence. And because he came in as an 8 and JJ put him as a 6 and he struggled, then he adapted to a 6. Now Feja came in different roles, even though same position, but very different roles. And it's like, I don't know. Yeah. Now he can't play the 8. He can't play the 6. It's very tough to understand what the hell's going on with Samaris right now.
Yeah, Steve was at the game, as I said, and at halftime we traded a few texts, and he said that Feja was an absolute beast.
I told you that when I was in Portugal with the Supertaça. It was one of the first things I said, bro. And Steve, it's kind of like, he said word for Feja live is impressive, bro. You can't walk away from watching Feja live and not be impressed with what he does off the ball. The guy's always in the right position. He's always in a passing lane. He's always stopping counters. He's always winning the ball back. Look, as long as this guy is healthy. Yeah. The guy is a beast for this.
And now there's the big concern about him being healthy because he got taken out in the 88th minute. And apparently, when Rui Vitória was asked if he just to refresh him with Celis, Rui Vitória said no. He was being the best player on the field. Why would I take him out? So apparently, Feja felt something and asked to be subbed in. Subbed out. Celis came in. And we all know that what happened there with Celis, he was the one that handled the ball to give that free kick to Talisca, comes into the game, gives up the ball right away. Like I said, I'm not convinced about Celis. Let's give him a little bit more time. But I just think that right now, this position would be ripe for the taking by Samaris, but he just can't get his shit together.
Again, I'm not against the substitution, and especially if Feja asked to be taken out. Even if he didn't ask, I think you have to conserve this guy because of his history with injuries. Yeah. This guy is very important to this team. And now we see Celis and Samaris. We don't have an adequate replacement. So you have to take care of this kid, this guy with kid gloves. That being said, Celis, another guy. It's coming into his very first Champions League game. Nerve setting.
Adrenaline.
The adrenaline, the speed of the game. This is a totally different beast from what these guys are accustomed to seeing in South America. And so, you can sit there and blame him for his fouls and whatever, but, you have to kind of give the guy a pass. The guy at fault for this, should be Rui Vitória, because if the guy's not ready, he doesn't think the guy can play at this level, and he looked like he's very nervous. Why even throw him into the game?
Maybe that's the only option he has. Of course, Rui Vitória wasn't on the bench. He was serving a one-game suspension that I guess he picked up.
That's right.
He picked up somewhere
last year against Bayern Munich.
Last year, so he was serving that suspension. But here's the thing, right? We're talking about Celis's handball, Talisca's free kick, all these things. But look, there's an opportunity that Guedes has. He's got to put that ball away. That's game over. That's all she wrote at that point.
If that's Jonas, that's in the back of the net.
That's even if it's Jimenez, I think he puts that in the back of the net.
Jimenez will shoot it off the goalie's forehead, get the rebound, and walk it in. But but I think anybody else, I think that's in the back of the net. And we're not even talking about the Talisca free kick. We're possibly talking about a 2-0 victory and walking away with 3 points and being very impressed.
We're the goalie, I don't want to take anything away from the goalie. It makes it a wonderful save. But if you guys watch that replay after he takes the ball away from Quaresma, and this is a lot of the experienced goalies can detect this as in game speed. Guedes opens up his body to the right, and when he opens up his body to the right, he gives himself up.
Yeah, you know what you do?
You
back. Mas é, pá,
you scoop it the other way. But you're right.
Video games.
There's guys that have ice in their veins that could do that. They got the balls to do that. And then there's guys that just give themselves up. And
going back to another Portuguese thing. That's the one thing we've said forever. We don't have strikers because we still maybe José Golos is that guy. Came very close. Had André Horta give him a little bit better pass against the Arouca. He would have been on the score sheet. And I was upset that I didn't get to see him yesterday. I was hoping that Benfica would throw him in there.
Yeah, I think that if maybe Feza doesn't get hurt, maybe José Gomes comes in the 94th minute, just to waste some time. But anyway, so let's talk about the biggest topic out of this game. And I was telling Cristiano before we came on live, when I saw that free kick opportunity for Besitkas, and I saw Talisca step up.
Deixa o Talisca jogar.
I can't. Deixa o Talisca falar. I thought that there was something inside of me that thought this is it. He's going to score. It had all the makings for a story. The storylines, the way he left Benfica. Now we're learning some new details on Talisca, but he scores the goal. He scores the goal. He celebrates effusively, if you will, and then there's a lot of Benfiquistas angry at him. Cristiano,
I'm not angry.
Your take?
I'm not angry. I know a lot of you guys disagree with me. I'm not angry. I mean, according to his side of the story, and again, there's always three sides of the story, but according to it, they ran him out of town. He denies that he wanted to leave. Benfica pushed him out. And if that's the case, I mean, guys, think about it. If I throw you out of my house, you're not gonna go sit on my porch and and behave. You're gonna be very upset. And so,
there's a bunch of stories out there. There's a bunch of versions.
There is. And listen, man, at the end of the day, I look at it this way. Right now, he's defending the Besitkas colors, and he scored a phenomenal goal. And if he wants to celebrate, let him celebrate. If he had a problem with that, don't let him go. It's that simple.
I think it's disrespectful towards his old teammates.
It's disrespectful to us because we don't know the details.
Well, here's the thing, right? So here's what I've heard. From what I've heard, Talisca wanted more money.
But he says he doesn't.
You wanted more money.
Okay.
Then yesterday after the game, he said that Benfica didn't pay his salary for July. Today, Record publishes or runs a story. Both Record and Ebola had access to Talisca's loan contract, in which it says that Benfica is not responsible for the players' wages starting July 1st. That those are solely responsible. Those are Besitkas' responsibility to pay him. Talisca is saying that Benfica never paid him for July 1st, and in that contract is very explicit. Benfica is not obligated to pay the players' wages from July 1st. This belongs to Besitkas. And just to be clear, Benfica is not paying July 1st. In the contract, there's like a double statement just to reinforce.
Maybe his agent. The player signed. Maybe his agent didn't get that word out to him. Maybe.
Yeah, but the guy's got to sign the contract. He's got to read it. Doesn't know how to read.
He's not reading anything. You're crazy.
The guy doesn't know how to read.
Pages and pages. He's not reading.
You mean he signed his name with an X?
Yes, because he trusts his agent, 100%. And this ain't like you show up at the park and here sign this X. This is big boy soccer. All these
you got to sign with
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how many of these players don't read what they sign. They trust their agents.
I don't know. From what I understand, and I'm sure that Benfica leaked this to all the papers because I think Benfica is taking the higher ground here. And they leaked this to all the papers saying, well, here's this contract. You guys be the judge.
Well, first of all, Benfica needs to start playing. Benfica, Rui Costa, Luis Vieira, they need to start playing Championship Manager, okay? Because you learn in Championship Manager, when you send your player out on loan, you put the clause in there, he can't play against me. Obviously, due to the fact that they're not playing these video games, they're not aware of these clauses.
I'm sure they're aware.
Because if he wasn't allowed to play against Benfica, we wouldn't be talking about it. Benfica should have been smarter. Because I got to be honest, I know I was messing around with it, but I got to be honest. When this first happened and then Benfica was, these two teams were drawn into the same group, I said to myself, I'm like,
this is not good.
No. Dude, I'm being honest. I'm not even BSing. I wanted to myself say, I wonder if Benfica put a clause in that he can't play against Benfica.
Somebody asked that. I think maybe Kevin asked that when the game was coming out.
Again, it's because of my previous experience with championship manager.
Well, now it's called football manager.
Yeah, football. I'm old school, man. I'm old. We go back to championship manager, CM. Now you're right. Might be football manager. And it was one of the first things I did in those contracts. Player can't play against me. So whoever's doing this at Benfica, wake up.
Yeah. So for me, I could care less if the guy scored. Obviously, it hurts that he scored the way he did. I think we set him up for that. The guy played out of his skin. I think that the celebration, he could have contained a little bit in his celebration, especially he just left the freaking club like 3 weeks ago.
But he left on bad terms, right?
I don't know, but with his teammates or with the club? Respect his teammates.
He's never once came out and said he loves the club, unlike, another guy who says every day that he loves the club and he goes out and scores a tying goal and then the 89th minute and breaks everyone's hearts. It could have been worse.
Yeah, mas esse pediu desculpa.
Yeah, but those fans didn't forgive him. They ready to burn down his statue. They didn't forgive him. Now they're Messi fans. They all become Messi fans.
Anyway, we're gonna pause here for Nelson's
station identification
halftime headlines. We'll be right back with the second half of the podcast.
And now, the halftime headlines.
And this week we kick off with a look at José Gomes. Better known to us as Zé Gomes, the Ghanaian-born footballer started Benfica's youth academy at the age of 13. After netting 23 goals in 43 games at an international youth level, he was crowned as the golden player for the U17 Euros. Zé was called up to the first team squad and came on for a sub for his first Liga Nós minutes against Arouca. Nas modalidades, Portugal's futsal team defeated Panama 9-0. Benfiquistas Ângelo scored once and Bruno Coelho recorded an assist. Os iniciados and juniors both won the Futsal 11 Torneio do Casal do Rato. And finally, Benfica's basketball team has announced they've signed Carlos Moraes. The 30-year-old Angolan has played in his native country for 15 years and won 12 international medals.
And that's all for this week.
Esse Carlos Moraes tá quase como o Bill Russell, man. Oh, yes. Bill Russell ganhou 11 and 13. This guy's almost there. Yeah, 12 and 15. Jesus.
If you see the Angola league symbol, like the NBA symbol,
it's him.
And they got the silhouette. Carlos Moraes is the guy in the silhouette, just like Bill Russell.
You know who the player is on the NBA?
Bill Russell.
No, man.
Yeah.
Jerry West.
Oh, Jerry West. Yeah. There you go. A little bit of NBA trivia for you. So now
I got more, Marco. I know you're listening, Marco. I got more.
Big shout out to Mr. Lops in Johannesburg playing with the giraffes over there. Be careful, buddy. I know there's some stuff going on over there. I don't know what. I just made that up. Anyway, Benfica turns our attention now to domestic competition. We will play Braga on Monday at 8 o'clock local time at Estádio da Luz. Braga is involved in the Europa League game tomorrow, and that's why the game is being pushed to Monday, which is fine by me. It gives Benfica players a little bit more time to recuperate. But I forgot to look up where Braga stands in the table. But
they're tied with Benfica, 10 points.
There you go. So here's
I think they're a goal difference there because I think they scored 8 goals, allowed 2. Benfica's scored 8 and allowed 3.
Yeah.
So they're currently in second, right behind Sporting.
Yeah, last 5 games at Estádio da Luz between the two teams, 5 wins for Benfica, and Cristiano and I had the pleasure of being 2 seasons ago.
Yeah,
not last season, the season before that. We watched the game at Estádio da Luz against Braga. The last 10 head-to-head, 7 wins for Benfica, 2 losses, 1 tie that ended up being a Braga win after PKs. Here's the thing for you. Go ahead, Cristiano, if you want to say. Now, here's the thing for you. Benfica's already played Braga this year. They played Braga in the Super Cup, as we know. And at that game, Cristiano, and you were at that game, Braga dominated for most of that game.
Second half.
For
the first 25 minutes was all Benfica.
Yeah.
They could have easily scored multiple
balanced
goals.
out. Braga finishes on top.
After that, Braga finished the first half on top, and the second half, Benfica. I don't know how they scored an additional 2 goals. It was like 3-0. I don't remember. I was at the game, and I don't remember.
Yeah.
I was drinking beer with João Gomes.
Shout out to João Gomes.
João Gomes, como é que é, pá? E a pessoa ia porrada também. Aquilo era espetáculo.
Yeah.
Mas, Benfica very forced. Rafa gets around. It was like a through ball. Somebody just punted it up to the field. And Julio Cesar comes out. Rafa and another
He
one of
hits
his
the side
teammates.
net, right?
They actually beat Julio Cesar to the ball, go around them. He's got the whole net wide open, and he hits the side netting. And my uncle turns to me, a big sport. He said,
E já vai para o Benfica.
"Filho da puta vai para o Benfica."
Yeah, that's where the rumors started.
Tinha razão.
At that point, there was a little buzz.
Yeah, but I can't say he missed that on
No, he
purpose
did.
because
I
the
don't
guy
think
was
he did.
he's in fifth gear, run as fast as he could.
Yeah. He did great. He did great in that game. Actually, he's one of the better Braga players.
You know who I really like from Braga, and I'm surprised he's still at Braga.
Who's that?
I don't know his name, but I think it's number 14.
Quem é?
Lefty. He's good. If you look at the
Cabeça de Esfregona?
no,
Sabes quem é o Cabeça de
what's
Esfregona?
his name? Louis. Oh my God, I forget this guy's name. He's actually Santos. Something Santos. Is it Santos?
Manel Santos.
Lá estás tu a gozar, meu.
I love it.
I'm gonna look it up.
Anyway, so here's the big story line that I wanted to talk about besides Braga playing in Europe, but they're going to have plenty of time to recuperate. But the biggest thing is, and that's where we headed down by when we were talking about the Super Cup game where Braga dominated all the second half and a little bit at the end of the first half. Braga has in their minds, and there's no doubt in my mind, that they could beat this Benfica team because of the domination that they had in that for most of that game, if you will. So this is going to set up a really interesting match between the two. I know that it's at Estádio da Luz, and Benfica is usually favored in Estádio da Luz. Quem é?
Pedro Santos.
Pedro Santos.
I like that guy. He played very well in that Supertaça game, and from what I read, he's been very well so far in the Liga NOS. And the guy, I think this guy is on the cusp of I'm not saying he's going to be a special player, but he's on the cusp of a big move because I think he has the tools.
Yeah. Cristiano, what do you think of the fact that Braga is going into this game knowing that they dominated Benfica for most of the game in the Super Cup? What are your thoughts on that?
I think they come in very confident because Benfica will still be missing a couple key players come Monday. And then on top of it, man, these guys going to want revenge because Benfica just signed their best player. And deep down inside, all these guys, it's one of the team. They're happy to see him go. But at the same time, like they wish they would have had this guy on the team to compete and challenge for the rest of the year. So I think they're going to come in with a chip on their head and to prove everybody.
A chip on their head?
Yeah, chip on their shoulders, whatever, on their head, on their shoulder. They're going to come in and try to, get at Rafa. Like, should stay with us, man. I think they're going to try to prove a point here.
It's possible.
And the other question is, will Rui Fonte play?
Rui Fonte can play.
He can play because
Benfica sold him outright.
They sold him. He's outright. Well, they gave him.
Benitez. Is it his name? Benitez. Benitez can't play.
Who's Benitez? Oh, aquele argentino, boludo.
Yeah, he can't play.
What was his name? Junior Benitez? What?
Junior Chucky.
No, Chucky's Chucky, man. Dude, you're all mess. You're worse than me.
I don't know. I'm just throwing things up. We have a Twitter questions now, Cristiano.
Oscar Benitez.
Oscar Benitez.
There it is.
There you go.
Oscar Benitez. All right. So you want to go to Twitter questions?
Yeah, let's go to Twitter questions. I guess start from the bottom.
Benfica podcast.
If you want us to,
you got
to
5 minutes,
questions.
ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
But a lot.
That's a lot of questions, man.
Epa, que isto? This September, já estou 32, vai. Moraes.
He changed his name. My Golf Adventures. You see that?
It's still my Golf Adventures. It's just Moraes. So
over under.
Yeah, over. That's what's up. He wants what's up with the homeless beard. Over under. How many times Benfica talks negative about Pizzi? By the way, you lost your bet because it was under 4. PortugueseSoccer.com. Shavs wanted $80, 80 euros. For the
Vai
top
comer
versus Benfica. Should fans give up food to afford or attend the game?
Yo, you can eat Pop 6 e marmelada.
Palhaçada, man. Se tu não tens dinheiro, não vais ao jogo, man. It's very simple.
Pop 6 e marmelada all week.
Vai ao café e vês no café de graça. Se não tens que ir
That's right.
Casa. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very simple decision, guys.
So on that story, sorry, before you get into the next one, on that story, apparently there's a rule within the Portuguese league that there's a ceiling for ticket prices, and apparently the $80 is way over the ceiling. I think the most expensive ticket that Chaves can sell, and this is in tiers. A team with a bigger stadium can sell higher priced tickets, but because I think Chaves is like third tier, I think the highest ticket that they could sell is €39.90
like
if
that.
I'm not mistaken. So apparently the league said, look, you can't do this. Chaves is continuing to do it. some Portuguese hackers hacked their sites. They put a message on their site. Go on there. I think that a couple curse words in there or whatever. So, we don't know.
They're not doing anything different than any other club does in Portugal.
$80.
While I was
80
in
euros.
Portugal, Tondela, most expensive ticket against Benfica, the first game of the year, was $45.
Yeah.
And now they're playing, I believe it's Porto, if I'm not mistaken, or it's coming up.
Go ahead.
And
buy one, get one free.
And their most expensive ticket is €35. So that's their most expensive. So
yeah.
Benfica, it was 10, but then again, it was in August. A lot of immigrants and stuff like that. So, I mean, I understand, man. I'm not really against these teams. To me, it's a very easy decision.
But 80, man.
É pá, tu não tens dinheiro, não vais ao jogo, man.
Vai comer.
Não vai comer, vai fazer, whatever. Go do what you gotta do. Vai comprar leite, do what you gotta do. Não vais ao jogo. I mean, stop complaining. It's very simple. If you can't afford to go, don't go.
Yeah.
Listen, it's their Super Bowl. These guys, Benfica only comes into shops once a year. It's their chance to make
They make their money. This is where they make their money.
Yo, you don't like it? Don't go. When you go to a BMW dealer, do chegas lá, está muito caro. Lower the price. If it was like that, everything would be, mas in Portugal, they got a messed up mentality. Não tens, vais comer, meu.
Yeah.
Está a comer ao puto.
What's next?
Ou ao futebol, está a comer ao puto. Next. Thoughts on the substitution of the Champions League much? I find that's where we gave it away.
Who's that?
This is from Nelson.
Kevin, man.
Okay, Kevin. Kevin. I think you guys messed me all up, man.
Kevin, I think the substitution for Samaris is with the right intention. I mean, we have a second half that we're losing control of. He gets subbed in. I think he gets subbed in. It's the right idea. But Samaris didn't bring anything to the game. I think that when Faisa was hurt, he has to be subbed out. Celis is the natural substitution. And then you leave a substitution on the bench. Could you have made another substitution? Could you have thrown another guy in defense? Possibly. So we left the substitution on the bench. What else?
My golf adventure. Benfica hasn't had the same lineup yet this year, incling Supertaça and Champions League. Jonas missed 3 games. It will get better. I agree with that, man. I mean, it's very hard to have the same lineup. Tá tudo, como é que é?
Tá tudo roto.
No espalheiro, no galheiro, como é que é?
Tá tudo no estaleiro.
No estaleiro. I'm getting better at my Portuguese, guys. Paulo Sérgio, when the Benfica forwards return, does Rafa stay up top or does he get moved to the outside?
Cristiano and I were talking about this.
I think it's moved to the outside. It's very simple. Put him on the left. Put him on the left, and everybody else will cry about not playing.
I'm willing to bet you that the guy that ends up on the bench is Horta. That Pizzi's going to keep his spot in the middle.
I can't stand Pizzi, but the only way he's going to
Rafa's
lose his
going
spot,
to
he
left.
has to be real bad.
Worse than he already is?
Like real bad because he's one of Rui Vitoria's pets, man.
He's got pictures.
Every coach has one of these guys that you wonder, like Fernando Santos, whatever. Like you wonder what these guys see in these players, but he's one of the guys that doesn't play up to our standards. But I think he checks all the boxes that Rui Vitoria wants. So I think he will continue to play.
He's awful, man.
Fine.
I wish there was a stat. I wish Goal Point had a stat of how many balls he lost.
Goal Point, get on it. There should be.
Yeah.
I mean, they have that in FIFA. Why don't they have that in? Come on.
What else?
Thoughts of Andre Horta after a few games. His pass for the first SOB goal in the Champions League was a thing of beauty. This is from Kevin once again.
Yeah, I think that he has his moments.
He shows flashes.
I just don't think that that's his position. I think that his position is behind the forward, between lines.
Let me tell you, Kevin is in forma. If the Benfica players were in forma like Kevin, we would have won every game 5-0. Kevin, mais uma vez. Any update on the injured players coming back soon enough?
I think Mitrogols is close.
Mitrogols is close.
I think that's about it. I don't know. I don't know about Jardel, man. This whole Jardel injury bothers me a little bit because he came back and then all of a sudden he's sitting again. I don't know. I want to kind of stay away from this. I wanted to. There's a lot of people mentioning that Benfica's clinical department is not doing their job, or that maybe Rui Vitória is pushing the players too hard to make sure that at the end of the season they're going to have that conditioning. I'm not really sure. This Jardel injury worries me because it's a muscular injury he's been dealing with for quite some time. The other guys came back injured from the national teams. That doesn't mean that they got injured in the national teams. That could just mean that the workload that they're being put through at Benfica could have been a catalyst for them getting injured in their national team. So I don't really know. I don't know if there's something that's being done different by Rui Vitória as far as conditioning, as far as workloads on the players this early in the season. I don't know, but there's a lot of injured players.
I'm not really stressing about Jardel. Yes, we would all like to see him back, but Lindelof is exceptional. Lilo is the leading goal scorer on the team, so the guy has to play. So, no, all jokes aside, look, when he comes back, we're very well suited until these guys come back. And even Luisão, the old man, can still kick the ball around a little bit.
Yeah.
So don't worry much about that guy. What concerns me is the guys up top in this particular game like Braga, where we're going to need these guys. Paulo Sergio, referring to Talisca, wasn't he sold to Wolverhampton and then loaned out by them to Besitkas? No. That was all BS, unconfirmed rumors that he was getting loaned out. He's on his way. He's going to get loaned. Bye-bye. At the end of the day, he left on a 2-year loan to Besitkas with $1 million a year for the loan. So the total of $2 million.
The Wolverhampton thing might have been very well been on the table, but apparently from what we read, there was an issue with the work permit with Talisca, and we've discussed this here. And Cristiano brought up a great point, and I didn't know about this, that if he doesn't have enough international games in his belt, it's much harder to get a work permit. So we think that was the one thing that prevented him from going to Wolves.
All right. Can I get the Floydian? I thought it was the Floyd Indian, but it's the Floydian.
Carl Floyd. Is it Carl Floyd?
Caffey Floyd.
Caffey
feels close. Carl Caffey, whatever.
I can't see from this far.
Should Zé Gomes have gotten subbed in? We touched on that before. Yeah, I believe the kid should have gotten a run, but due to the fact that Feja got hurt and they had to do unforced substitutions, I think that kind of threw the whole scheme out the window.
I think if the game's tied, he comes in for sure. But at that point, it wasn't. Rui Vitória didn't think he should go after the goal, so it was much easier substitution or to bring a guy on defense or not make a substitution at all.
Same dude, the Floydian. What 11 would you use in the next match?
What 11?
Yeah, starting.
Whatever one is healthy.
Whoever's healthy, man. That's a great answer.
We don't have a lot of guys to pick from. I think it's time for Almeida to get some burn. What do you think, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to throw him in there. His first game, throw him in there. Throw him to the Wolves right now against Braga. I guess if you have to make a substitution late in the game, I guess, bring him in and try to get his feet wet. But right now, I mean, look, Smith was not a great defender, but the guy with the ball at his feet still gives you a lot of options. So I still roll the dice with him right now.
Yeah.
That's me. Meg, lovers out of time. Pretty sure UEFA doesn't allow clauses after Courtois case, so it would have been useless anyway.
No.
I guess that's to my comment regarding Talisca.
Yeah.
In his
I don't know if there's not a I don't think there's a regulation by UEFA, but whatever agreement the two clubs make with each other, I think even if it's a secret agreement, the two clubs can hold that agreement. I don't think there's something in the UEFA that would prohibit a player loaned out to another team to prevent them from playing against his loanee team. But I think that if the clubs agree on the contract that he can't play against Benfica or can't play against the parent club, then I think that's what it is. I just think that the chances of Benfica encountering Besitkas were very remote. It just so happened
I'll say
that
this.
They did.
If Meg brings up that there's a UEFA rule, I believe Meg. Okay, how's that? We just have to look into it. Meg, send it to us on Twitter so we can take a look at it. I mean, I recall something regarding Courtois, but he still got to play against Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not sure exactly about this rule. Not saying you're not right about it, just not sure about it. Kevin, Bleeker Toucher. What's worse, the Talisca celebration, Markovic joining Sporting, or Gonzalo Guedes finishing?
Say that again?
What is worst? Markovic joining Sporting, Talisca celebrating his goal at Benfica Estádio da Luz yesterday, or Gonzalo Guedes' finishing ability? What's worse? Listen,
it's Pizzi in there?
Gonzalo Guedes' ability, man. Finishing ability. That's it.
You know, because
Markovic joining Sporting.
Nah.
It's an afterthought. Shout louder. And I don't blame him. This is a guy that had his most successful season with this coach.
Yeah.
Yo,
I think the
familiarity. Peace out.
The Talisca thing too, we kind of set ourselves up for that. You know, the guy scores. I mean, I think to me is a big disrespect to his teammates. But we kind of we put ourselves in a position for him to be the hero. We saw how when he came out, he played out of his skin. I think, you know, out of those three, if PT is not included in those choices, I'm gonna go with Ged's finishing ability.
Yeah, because the other ones I don't really care much about.
Yeah.
And then I guess lastly, golf adventure once again. What happened to Mitroglou? He scored 2 goals for Greece during the break. Yeah, and he had one of those karate kicks.
Yeah, I think he might have pulled his hamstring with how high he kicked that ball. How high he lifted his.
There was some rumors that he might be available for this Champions League game against Besitkas, and obviously he wasn't. So, listen, man, as long as these guys all get back soon and they're all healthy, to me, most important thing is not rush these guys back. Make sure they're all healthy, because we don't want to have one of these Jardel reoccurrences where he shows up, plays a game, is out for 3, shows up. You know, make sure they're 100% healthy, and then get ready to fight on all fronts with the full roster.
Yeah. What else?
That's it.
Refresh that boy.
No, I don't want to. No, nobody else.
Refresh that bad boy.
No, I'm not refreshing. That's it. They didn't send them in on time. Forget about it. They lost out their time.
Estavas a dizer que tinham mais 5 minutos.
Já passaram, meus. Já demorou 5 minutos a responder às perguntas.
Cristiano fala, Cristiano diz.
Eu estou in charge aqui desta.
All right, everybody. Next week we will be back. We will discuss the Braga game. We will look ahead to Benfica's next game. I don't know. Is Steve back next week? I don't think Steve is back yet.
Even if he's back, he's going to come up with an excuse.
Pois é.
He's a slacker.
Tem que dar mamar ao bebê or something like that. Anyway, thanks everybody for checking this out. We see some late comers, some viewers here. Thank you very much for checking this out. This episode will be up on iTunes sometime tonight. Don't forget to check out our friends over at planetbenfica.co.uk. Planet Benfica, I think they're on Twitter also. At 10CO10 is where you can find here my man, Cristiano Oliveira. He's also one of the 1/3 or a half of the Ball Breakers podcast.
A third.
Should check that out. That's all about European football. Check that out. Also, Cristiano is still looking to surpass the 4,000 follower number on Twitter. He's got some Benfica merch that he will raffle off and give to somebody after the 4,000.
I'm just gonna eat grass for the next 3 weeks, and then I'll be able to fit into it. So I start wearing it. All you guys will miss out on it. Simple.
I think that Cristiano, if you sell that shirt and then
priceless.
take the money and give it to somebody, they might be able to attend the Chaves game.
Mas, what about transportation?
Yeah, transportation vai a boleia, man. Anyway, thank you very much. At Benfica Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, at Talking to the Doll with D being DA is where you can find me on Twitter, my own personal account. Thank you very much, Nelson, for the halftime headlines. And thanks everybody for checking us out. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes. That will help us get to the right audience. And also to jump on some ratings over on iTunes. Appreciate that, and leave a comment if you want. So thank you very much, everybody, for checking us out, as I've said, and we will see you guys again next week. Thank you very much. Cristiano, you want to use a line to say goodbye?
Peace. Be safe, everyone. Talk to you guys next week.
See you, everybody.
Peace.